Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's your buddy Chewie coming at you again. Let's see. I think I'm just going to kind of chat. There's a couple things that have, over the last couple days that have really, really pissed me off, and really, really disappointed me as well. So the first one was everything that happened yesterday at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. I'm not going to turn this into a political podcast. I'm not going to turn this into a political discussion. But I will say that what happened yesterday in Washington, D.C. was really disappointing, was really sad to see our country look like a third world country. That's what it felt like watching that coverage. To see men and women essentially storming the gates of the Capitol building. Armed people, trying to stop the democratic process, right? These presumably are supporters of Donald Trump, the current president of the United States. They don't like the fact that Joe Biden was going to be not sworn in, but confirmed to be the president-elect. And again, I'm not going to get into whether their behavior was incited. I'm not going to get into whether their behavior is, warranted or what have you. In my opinion, I think it was deplorable. And when you turned on and you watched some of the coverage, it did not look like it was happening in the United States of America. It looked like scenes that we have seen, through other countries, where there's military coups and there's government overthrown and those kind of things. It just didn't look like something that I ever thought I would say happened in the United States, but it did. One of the greatest things about the United States of America is we have always had a peaceful transfer of power. And yesterday, that was trying to be thwarted. And it just really, really bummed me out. I'm not going to talk about, again, I'm not going to get into who I voted for. I'm not going to get into any of that stuff. And I don't think it really matters, quite frankly. I don't think, I don't know. I think those people should be ashamed of it. There's nothing wrong with peacefully protesting. That's fine. You want to protest? But don't go out there and break into a federal building. And what are these guys? What were they going to do? I don't know. I don't know what the answer. I haven't even seen. I don't know if anybody has, if they had an agenda or if anybody was talking for them or talking on behalf of them or anything like that. But I don't even know what they were going to do. But it was really, really sad and really, really scary. And it just kind of made me once again realize just how divided we are in this country. Growing up, you could have a conversation about politics. You could, I like this guy, you like that guy. But at the end of the day, you could have a conversation, you can walk away. Yeah, agree to disagree. It's almost not like that anymore. There are very few people that I will have what I consider a political discussion with these days, because people can't even agree on, what the facts are, right? They can't even agree on, it's a real sad state of affairs. And I fear that it's not going to be, I fear that that's not going to change anytime soon. And I fear that my kids are going to have to deal with the repercussions of a crumbling government or a crumbling governmental system for years to come. I will say I never have been a fan of the two-party system that we have in the United States. I think that system is beyond broken. I think it needs some pretty fundamental reform. I think I would probably start with term limits, and I would start with campaign spending reform and those kind of things, but that's another discussion. So the other thing that is really kind of pissing me off was today the Cleveland Indians, my beloved Cleveland Indians, decided that they were going to trade Francisco Lindor and Cookie Carrasco. Now, Francisco Lindor, in my opinion, is probably one of the top 3 or 4 shortstops in the game of baseball. The Indians made him an offer, I believe 2 or 3 years ago. They offered him a $100 million contract, and he turned it down. And so I guess it was always, in my mind, this day I knew was coming. If he turned down $100 million, he wasn't going to sign later, and we were going to have to trade him, right? Because if he's got 1 more year on his contract, and if he gets to the end of that year, then he just kind of walks away and you get nothing for him. So, we got a couple prospects. I think we got 3 players in return for those 2. Obviously nobody near from a name value as Lindor or even Carrasco for that matter. But it was just a really, really sad day, because I think I've kind of come to the realization that I don't think the Cleveland Indians are going to be in Cleveland too much longer. And I can't even begin to tell you how much that saddens me, because I am a baseball fan through and through. I love the Cleveland Indians, and I have a feeling and a fear that I'm going to have to find a new baseball team to follow. They have gotten rid of the Chief Wahoo logo, which I think I've chatted about that here before on the podcast, and I know I've written about it on the blog, but that's neither here nor there. That's gone. They announced earlier this year that they're changing the name, the Cleveland Indians. They're no longer going to be known as the Cleveland Indians. So they've gotten rid of their logo. They've gotten rid of their name. As of today, they basically have the lowest payroll in Major League Baseball. And on top of everything else, the lease with the city of Cleveland is expiring in the next couple of years as well for their ballpark. And I don't know. I mean, it just really feels like the Dolan family, who are the owners of the Cleveland Indians, they are setting themselves up to play the card of, well, look, nobody comes to the stadium, so we're going to move. We're going to leave Cleveland. And to say that is going to piss me off is an understatement of epic proportions. I lived through that once when the Cleveland Browns left, and I really hope I don't have to live through that again when the Cleveland Indians, or if the Cleveland Indians leave Cleveland, because that will be a sad, sad day of, almost unmatched proportions. At least the Browns are back. We got the Browns back, and the Browns made it to the playoffs this year for the first time in 18 years. And of course, all things can't go well for Cleveland, because we heard the other day that Kevin Stefanski, our head coach, has coronavirus, and several other players have now tested positive. They have not been able to practice all week, and so they're going to go into a matchup on Sunday evening at 8:15 p.m. against the Steelers in Pittsburgh after having not practiced and not having their play-calling head coach and those kind of things. So I don't have high hopes for that, but it's just been kind of a bummer of a couple of days in Cleveland and nationally. Again, I talked about the first few minutes. I talked about the Capitol. So I hope the next time I come to you, it will be with some more positives I'm looking forward to recording the next episode with Pip. We have several topics that I think we're ready to cover, and so that's all I had. Sorry for the bummer of an episode. I will talk to you soon. Hope everybody's doing well. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Later.